Hello again, and welcome to All About Danville. I'm Chuck Vipperman.
And I'm Hampton Wilkins.
And we are All About Danville. We are honored today to be joined by a person who's occupying still a relatively new position here, but a very pivotal position. Hampton is going to tell us more about Lisa Meriwether.
Actually, I'm
going
to let Lisa Meriwether tell all of us about Lisa Meriwether. We have been waiting for Lisa's arrival for years, and to think Danville, Virginia now has a director of tourism, it leaves me speechless. So, Lisa, tell me about your journey, how you ended up here, and tell us about Lisa.
Absolutely, Hampton. Well, let me just start by saying it's always a pleasure to be in your company. And Chuck, I always love spending time with you. So so happy to be invited to be a part of this podcast today. Hampton, I'm a native of Central Virginia. So I was born and raised in Campbell County, lived for a while in Richmond, and started my hospitality career in the early 80s. Right? But that was on the lodging side. So I've worked for Radisson and Sheraton Corporate, worked for Five Diamond Hotels, but most recently in the last several years, I've worked for tourism in a neighboring community. So that's kind of my story. I have one child, Locke Meriwether, who is the apple of my eye, and he's currently going to graduate school in Florida. So all of you listeners out there in about a year and a half, if you're going to need a dentist, you're going to want to see Locke Meriwether.
Lisa, the position was created just a little over a year ago, Director of Tourism, City of Danville. And it's a new position, but it's not a new position. There has been tourism efforts before, but this job was more than about the way we did tourism in the past, where the assumption was someone visiting Danville, probably a day or two, no more than that. But this job anticipated a line that you have shared with me: companies coming, get ready. That's got to be what attracted you to this job. Not only was it a new position, but just a whole new attitude about tourism here in our fair little city.
Chuck, you're so right. Thank you for that. Yes, you're so right. I will share with your listeners what attracted me to this particular challenge. And let's get real. This was going to be a big challenge. I was working in tourism in a neighboring community, and I understood that Danville, the city of Danville, and the county of Pennsylvania had come together, signed resolutions in support of building out an entire tourism division, if you will, not just a single person, but a division. And that to me spoke change, big difference. I was more interested in the beginning in understanding how that was going to play out. So I started to ask questions, chatted with people, because, I'm doing tourism in a neighboring community, and tourism is all about partnerships. And I was excited about being able to partner with the new tourism program in Danville and Pennsylvania County. But where that shifted for me is I started to do more research, and I realized this was going to be a monumental opportunity for somebody to come down and reshape what's been done in this community as it relates to tourism. So that's what really, sometimes I pinch myself. This is such a fabulous opportunity to be here in this lovely community and be able to do this work. And so far, so good. And our city council and our Pennsylvania County Board of Supervisors have been extremely supportive in building this out. But you're right. It's a division. It is a rebuild because there has been tourism efforts in different divisions along the way. So it's been a real interesting 12 months. I'm happy to share with you what that looks like.
Tell you, another not insignificant fact is that you're now under economic development rather than Parks and Recreation. And if there's I don't know if there's any more graphic demonstration of how this tourism effort is different than the way we did it 15 years ago.
Right. Well, tourism is economic development. I repeat, tourism is economic development. And people have heard me laughingly say, tourism is the first date of economic development.
I love it.
You have to bring someone into your community and show it off, right? You're on your best behavior. You're putting on the ritz,
dress up
right?
real nice.
You dress up really nice. That's right. But truly, it is. Tourism adds to the economic vitality of a community in different ways than just brick and mortar shops, right, and businesses. So, and we can talk a little bit about that too.
So, Lisa, when we first approached you about this position, when was the word destination? Danville's never been a destination, so that we know that. But all of a sudden, overnight, we're becoming that.
You
so
are.
Talk about that for our viewers, please.
I will. So Hampton, I'm going to go back a couple of steps, and I'm going to lead into the answer to your question as far as Danville and Pittsylvania County being a tourism destination. One of the things that I realized very quickly upon arriving here was there was two things that I needed to do. And the first thing was I needed to help educate our community about what tourism is, right? What is tourism? There was a lot of different misconceptions about what it is. So I spent the first several months going out into the community, speaking to civic organizations and groups, and just a very 101 kind of presentation. What is tourism? Why is it important? Why should you care? And why does it add to the economic vitality of a community? So when you use the word tourism, tourism by definition is a destination being just that, as a destination. And I think the mindset for our local community here wasn't that. They could not see themselves as a destination, a place that somebody sought out, researched, and chose to come visit. And that's changing. That is changing.
Daily.
Oh, absolutely. As we sit here, it is changing.
And as we have tourists come to Danville and they see what we have to offer, it is our job, as not just as realtors, but as people that believe in this community, come on. Don't make it just a weekend visit.
Really?
You may want to consider making this a life visit. That happens more often than I can tell you now.
It was like that first date you're talking about.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And let's talk about real estate. I chose to purchase a home here. I'm a resident of Danville, in the city of Danville, and I thought I knew it was extremely important for me, as I'm leading this program, to be able to get in, and we laugh and say I'm not from here. I'm from the community, the general area. But you're right, Hampton.
She didn't come down from Mars, folks, is
No.
what we're saying.
But it's for me. It's as I was growing up, a young woman in Campbell County. I used to laugh and say our core groups of friends. You either went to Lynchburg for fun and shenanigans, or you went to Danville. Mm-hmm. And my group would always go to Lynchburg, right? Mm-hmm. So relearning all the great things that we're to see and do in Danville has been a pleasure for me. This, I got to tell you, it has been beyond words being here. Friendly people. People want to see change. Yeah. I just shared that yesterday with a group of folks. I don't know if you're aware, but there is a comprehensive plan that's being built out now called Plan Danville. Mm-hmm. And, this is going to take some time and it's going to take some effort on part. But one of the things that I shared with them as I've been in the community for the last year or so is people want the change. They're ready for it. They're ready. They just need to know how to help.
Lisa, the casino is the elephant in the room. Everyone knows about that. Maybe you've heard about that. Have you heard about that?
Let's see. Maybe.
I've heard rumors here and there. No, I mean, but sometimes a change of any kind, all changes require some kind of catalyst. The casino is quite the catalyst. Again, the ripple effects are what's causing people to think differently about tourism. All of a sudden, the idea of someone spending a week in Danville 10 years ago, I don't know about that. Now, I can see that. You're going to build out on what resources are already here, but you've told me this, the resources that are already here are not too shabby. It's going to get better with the casino and the incentives here, but we have an awful lot to see, and the problem is, people who live here see it every day, so they don't see it as touristy or interesting, but other people do.
They do. You're exactly right. So, Chuck, I'm going to say this and say this and say this. It's Caesars, Virginia, right? And I know when I first entered into this community, anyone wanted to the word they wanted to use to define that $650 million resort was a casino, and it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So Caesars Entertainment obviously uses the word gaming to talk about their, their product, if you will.
Right.
There's Caesars loyalty members, and we know that that's a given. They're excited. They've been flowing in and out of our Danville Visitor Center, talking about how excited they are to be a part of this.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But, however, the resort is going to bring visitors into our community that have never been here before. Let me explain. So there's a 40,000 square foot convention center. So this convention center, we are already working with meeting planners and event planners to bring meetings and conferences. The great thing about conventions is they build in time for their attendees to flow into destinations. And that's by design. Like they want their attendees to get the essence of the community. They want them to shop. They want them to, enjoy a delicious meal in local restaurants. They want them to play golf on the courses. They want them to do all the things.
Right.
That's where tourism comes in. So we're working very closely with Caesars, Virginia, and their team to be able to build out destination product and bundle that to be able to offer those resources. It's been busy. And let's talk about the 500 luxury brand hotel rooms, the restaurants. I don't know about you guys, but I will drive
those restaurants
to eat a
yes.
delicious plate of food at a particular restaurant. So all of that, and we know that, yes, it is a game changer. We know that. We do know that. But what's happened in the interim is all of the investment that's coming in to support what they know is coming. So, we can talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, and Hampton, we talked about companies coming. We got to get ready for them, and that's what it's all about.
We've already been contacted by Virginia Realtors. You're talking about almost 30,000 members.
Wow.
And we've always had our conventions and meetings in Richmond, Roanoke, the Tidewater area. But now they're calling us and said, what about, can we talk about Danville? I said, you call Lisa Meriwether, Caesars, Virginia. Yes, we can plan. Right, Lisa?
That's exactly right. And so Caesars, Virginia has hired a property sales manager. And if you haven't met Wendy, she's lovely. And Wendy's sole focus is to book convention business and meeting business into that property. The great thing, and a lot of people don't understand this either, so I'll explain, as a destination, right? So Wendy and I have already begun to do sales missions where we are meeting with planners who want to bring their meetings and conferences here. Wendy is selling the resort, the property. I am selling the destination. We're talking about all the great things there are to see and do. And to take it a step further, part of the program that we're building out is to be able to provide incentives to planners to attract them to come to our community. Maybe that incentive is we want to be able to provide, your conference bag or an ad in your program, or we want to do a welcome table or a booth at your event to be able to have, folks there with your conference attendees sharing this information, visitor guide, maps, collateral, all of that stuff. So Wendy and I work very closely together to do that. Most recently, we partnered in a trade show booth in Raleigh for the Association Executives of North Carolina. And we had about 40 interested planners who specifically came up and said, we will come across the state line to bring our business into your property.
And we will let you.
And we will welcome you with open arms. So the conversations have started, and people think, well, what are you doing, Lisa? I mean, how are you spending your time? A lot of it is working with these planners. Yeah. And, on another element, and I know that you've seen this as well, we will be doing a comprehensive sports tourism study. Sports tourism's here. I don't know if y'all just saw this, but Chatham Hall, did you see the investment that Chatham's bringing in?
For a new gymnasium facility.
$17 million product. And the thing is it's, while it's going to be a great asset to Chatham Hall, this is going to be a great asset for the community to attract other conferences, tournaments, and things of that nature. So sports tourism, big bucket for us, and we need to start to work on that as well. So
this may be an appropriate time, Lisa, for us to talk about other local businesses outside of Caesars. Some people fear, like, is this going to take business away from my restaurant or my retail store? But I think when this water rises, everyone, when the tide rises, we all benefit. Would you want to address that, please?
I will. So the word I'll use to describe that in our industry, it's called compression. So you know what? We have about 800 or so hotel rooms in our immediate vicinity. Most of these are limited service properties, and by limited service, it's our Hampton Inn and Suites, it's our Quality Inn, it's a Best Western. Great properties. They do a fabulous job. Now, all of a sudden, we have a resort coming into town. It's a very different. You can come in there, and I know the concern has always been, they're going to come in and they're never going to leave. Yes, they will.
Yeah.
And that's our job to make sure that they understand the assets. But we will see the tide rise for that type of opportunity because people, if they do come for multiple days, and I love to call it the hub and spoke method. So perhaps the hub, the reason that our visitor is coming is they're attending a conference at Caesars, Virginia. They're going to be here for 2.5 days. They're not going to spend their entire time in that conference hall. They're going to go out and they're going to enjoy the benefits in our own community. So you talk about, taking business away from restaurants. I don't see that. I do not see that. I see more door swings, more cash register rings, a different kind of shopper and diner that will be coming in looking for that essence of our community, our local flavor.
Yeah, and it gives us the opportunity to show off our town. Like you said, they won't stay in that conference center for 3 or 4 days. They can enjoy our walking trails, our biking trails, our other unique cafes and restaurants and coffee shops. We have so much to offer.
And I think we all, when we are in a town, if we're there for business, we're staying at the conference a lot. But if we're going to be there a few days, if you're like me, I want to have some local greasy spoon and get the flavor. I love doing that.
That's
absolutely, absolutely. And I want to mention this, and I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about this. When you talk about building a tourism program, one of the things that you have to do, 2 challenges that I felt when I got here was understanding the voice of our own local community. Right? Yeah. We needed to know what people thought about tourism, how they felt about this. This thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are going to be coming to enjoy our community. I mean, that they're coming to enjoy our community and all that we can offer. So, first bucket, understand the voice of our community. You're going to hear me use these words all along. Our program is going to be community-led and data-driven. Second challenge was getting the data. So one of the questions that I asked when I was speaking to our leadership team here before I accepted the position was, can anyone tell me conclusively what is the profile of a visitor who comes into our area? Who are they? What do they look like? What's the demographic? Where are they going? Why are they going there? And why that was so important to ask is because, where are we putting our message? What are the communities? And we see you, Raleigh, North Carolina. We know Raleigh's peeking at us and spending time here. We see you, Tidewater area. The people from Tidewater are coming. So the second challenge was we needed to get data, and we needed to get it fast. And we have been working over the last 12 months to do a lot of geofencing, a lot of polygons, and a lot of drive spots that are
digital marketing stuff.
It is. And it's, and you could say it's a little creepy because if you have a cell phone, we can track you. So what we now have is we now know from the research that we've done the last year where our visitors are coming from, who they are, what they look like, what their socioeconomic background is, where they're spending time, how they're moving about our community. Yeah, wow. It's big stuff. And why do we need to know that? We need to put together a strong, very well thought out plan.
Right.
So to execute on what we're doing here, we need marketing. We need a brand, which, by the way, we have it. We're going to be revealing it in May.
So
I cannot wait.
I know about that for
Can't
some
wait.
time. That's going to be awesome.
Oh, it is. It was a labor of love. I will tell you that. The focus groups, the individuals. I was not a part of the brand discussions by design.
Right.
They wanted me to step out of the process. But I now know what it is, and we are working on our collateral as I speak, our maps, our visitor guide, our website, all of that is under
All the
production.
stuff to go along with it, yeah.
All the stuff that I really wanted right out of the gate is now being worked on. But we need to understand where to spend our money and advertise. So right now, there's no advertising presence in the communities that we know our visitors are coming from. Will we be spending money in the Raleigh market? You bet we will. And we see you, Richmond. Richmond's coming right on down and spending time with us.
Yes.
And boy, if we could count the number of visitors coming in from Charlottesville. So, people are like, wow, are you serious? Yes, we are. So to have a well thought out plan, it needed to be community led. We needed to understand, and I want to talk about why that's important. And we needed the research and data. If somebody's going to look at me and say, why are we spending money advertising in this particular community, I can point right back to the data and say, here it is, and here's why.
And I like the fact that you're bringing community in on this. Number one, it's the right thing to do. Number two, it's the smart thing to do, because a lot of what happens tourism-wise here in these next couple of decades, not just the casino, but the other stuff that comes along with it, it's going to be incumbent upon us. We've got to change a few things. I remember when VIR reopened in the late 90s or early 2000s, and they had their first couple of big events. One of the things was some of the well-heeled race teams would have their day of racing. 6 o'clock or so it ends up. Or they party for a couple hours there, and then they want to go get something to eat. Getting food after 10 o'clock in Danville was a challenge at the time. Still is, quite frankly, but there were a lot of eateries that catered specifically to the VIR crowd on race weekends, and they stayed open till midnight on those weekends to take advantage. It's a reaction to a stimulus. We know that. But unlike VIR, the casino and some of its related activities is going to be having a crowd like that every day.
Absolutely.
So
I know, isn't that
we got to
exciting?
change.
It's exciting.
That's wild, isn't it?
Well, it is. And so let's talk about community. So one of the first challenges I talked about was understanding the pulse beat and the appetite for our own local community. What is tourism? Why is it important? Why should you care? So we now know that there is a customer service shift that we need to pay close attention to.
Right.
Example, and we've all experienced this in communities that we've visited, and I'm sure we can conjure up some good and bad examples. Let's say you are a Caesars Virginia visitor. Let's say you are in our community enjoying a delicious meal at one of our restaurants, and you finish up and you say to your server, I'm here. I'm going to be here for a few days. What a lovely meal. What a darling community.
What's good?
What else do I need to do? What's a must-see? And it is game on for that team member at that restaurant to be on his or her act and be able to speak to
the
that.
ambassador is sometimes going to be the most unlikely person, but you don't know.
You don't.
We all have to be ambassadors
for
for Danville and the Dan River region.
That's right.
It's so embarrassing to go into a restaurant and you say, I'm here from Richmond. Well, what are you doing here? And we've all heard it.
Well, we have. And to address some of that, the new tourism program through Economic Development and Tourism is going to be sponsoring, starting in April, a customer service program. And this is a program that's going to be led by our tourism consultant team, Eddie Alexander out of Roanoke.
I smell the Southside News Today story coming up.
It would be fabulous. So we are crafting that now. Our customer service program will be modeled after the Disney customer service delivery method, which, as we all know, is the epitome of customer service.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So that will start in April. We will certainly be invited, all of our tourism stakeholders, our restaurants, our lodging, our retail, our attractions. But truly, this customer service is going to be for any business that sees themselves to rise that level.
Well, sometimes you don't know when you're going to be. I've got a good friend that was going shopping at the Food Lion in Tuscarora when the Blue Ridge Rock Festival was being held in Blair's that year, and he saw a couple of about 4 or 5 younger people with T-shirts, cut-off shorts, and they just came up to him and said, "Hey, we're new here. We got a few hours before the music starts. What do you think?" And he hasn't been trained in this, but I'll go here, and here. But you never know when you're going to be called on to be an ambassador.
You don't, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Hampton. So the customer service training will be hospitality and tourism focused, right?
Yeah.
And that will start in April, and we will be running a program every month through the end of the year at least.
Yeah.
We will be launching, and I feel this is something this is still in the works, but the idea here is to be able to get the tourism brand into our local community to get the buy-in. We want our local
Right.
community to understand what it's going to look like and feel like, and we will launch our ambassador program at that point. So more on that later, and yes, that will be a Southside News Today story. But these are all the things that we have been working on in the last year since I've been here to be able to get the pulse beat of the community, right? Get that understanding. It takes time to get research and data and plans. We've been talking to advertisers, promoters. We want to spend money locally to be able to push that brand out. And all of this is happening in the coming weeks. So get ready. I'm excited. We want people to love the brand. And we also understand that there's a very defined audience that we are attracting with this brand. And what I can tell you is it is sassy, it is fun, it is high energy, it is not boring, and you're going to learn
You're describing yourself.
I don't know about that, but and so we hope that our local citizens will see themselves in this. So we'll share it with the locals. And then we will be sharing this brand in the communities that we know are peeking at us right now. So
Yeah, for us citizens to be able to promote and talk about Danville, we have to know it ourselves. We've got to understand what we have to offer, and many of us don't.
Well, and I'll address that too. I use this phrase, I'm a come here, not a from here. And the educational process for me to learn all the assets has been fast and furious, and I will never, ever know it all. I might think I do, but I don't. And you call me out on that all the time. And I appreciate that. But my point is, there are people that do. I'll share a great story with you. We are very fortunate to have a young lady by the name of Tommy McGinnis, and she is a native of Danville, and she is a student at Randolph College in Lynchburg, and she is our tourism intern until May. Okay. And in the last 3 weeks, what I have learned from this young woman is much.
Yeah.
She has a vast knowledge of her community. She is passionate about it. And as a young woman, she wants to be in Danville. Like, she sees this as her future. And Tommy, I'm talking about you. I hope you could see this. But this is the kind of resource that we need to lean on, is someone who recognizes the fact that we need change to grow. And this is what we're getting from our young people. They want to see that. They really want to see that.
And we talk about ambassadors programs. Hampton, I'll get you to toot your own horn. You guys do ambassadorine out of Wilkins and Company all the time in terms of giving people the 50-cent tour of the city, or even the $1.50 tour.
Yeah, we do that, and we're thankful to be allowed to do that. But before we do that, or before we did that, we visited to the airport, the police department, our health providers here in Danville. We wanted to understand and know what Danville has to offer before we can go sell Danville, and it pays off. And you and I have discussed that. And I'll wear one of your ambassador badges whenever you allow me to.
Hampton, you'll be the first.
Okay.
You'll be the first. So I will say, I asked Hampton to give me the comprehensive tour. So he put me in his vehicle and gave me a 90-minute, a very comprehensive tour of Danville. And I remember stepping outside of your vehicle and thinking to myself, you know what, this is, if everyone could have the passion that you have for the community that you were born and raised in, and what you've been able to do for this community, I might not even be here, but I'm just saying, thank you for everything that you do.
It's my love.
And you will be the first. Just saying. You will be the first. I'm going to find that pineapple lapel pin, man.
That's going to be the one.
That's right.
And I'll get you to point, just as I don't want to say, oh, by the way, but you are City of Danville, but you are fused with Pittsylvania County economic development efforts. When we're talking about Danville, we're talking about Danville, Pittsylvania County, and all our other neighbors, because, like you said earlier, partnerships are absolutely crucial in this business. They are.
And I want to be perfectly clear when I make this point. I am an employee of the City of Danville, but I have been brought on to represent the city of Danville and Pittsylvania County in our tourism efforts.
Right.
It doesn't stop there, and I will use an example. Think about, you mentioned Virginia International Raceway, right? They are a tremendous tourism driver.
And they're not in Danville.
And they're not in
Right.
Danville. They're in Halifax County. We know that. And when you go out to visit them, you literally leave the state and come back into the state. You're like, what's happening here? But I share that with you because they're sports tourism. Yeah. When you think about sports tourism, it's not about bats and balls, and it's where you buy a ticket and you're a spectator and you're going to see something, and they get that. But they are a huge tourism driver. So as we are building out our promotional collateral, our maps, our visitor guide, all of the things, our website, it's going to include our partners. On our directional material, we're going to point up 29 because we know that we're bringing people down 29
Right.
across 58. But I think about if you were to earmark every dollar that comes in because of VIR, Virginia International Raceway, oh my goodness, right? We can't ignore that.
No.
We cannot ignore that. Other examples would be, beyond Pittsylvania County. Prime example, we're building out our map product, and it's going to be a fun, cool map, guys. Just wait. It's going to be so much fun. But it's going to have Smith Mountain Lake.
Sure.
In Smith Mountain Lake, only a portion of that is in their footprint. I can't tell you the number of times that I've engaged with people at our visitor center that are going or coming from Smith Mountain Lake, and they're stopping in our community to
Right.
enjoy a meal, or they're going to the science center, or there's something that was of interest to them, so they're stopping by Smith Mountain Lake. It's a huge driver for us.
It is.
No, when we invite citizens, from around the community, around the United States,
Right.
we don't just speak of Danville. We call ourselves Danville, Pennsylvania County, of course, but we say you must come visit the Dan River region.
Right.
It dips down into North Carolina, toward Martinsville, South Boston, and of course up to Smith Mountain Lake.
City limit signs mean nothing to visitors.
Means nothing. We are a region, and it's
We are, and I'm glad that you brought that up. And Chuck, I'm glad that you said that. Visitors do not recognize city and county borders.
Right.
So let's go back to that hub and spoke method of visitation. You're going to the beach, right? You're going to the beach. You're taking your family to the beach. You're going to the beach. You're going to be on the beach. But when you go to the beach, that's the reason. But what else do you do when you're there? There's always something. You're going to the aquarium. You're going out to eat a delicious seafood meal. You're going for ice cream. You're going shopping. Of course, you're going for shopping. But, when you think about that, we want the Danville, Pennsylvania County area to be the hub. That's us. We are creating the essence of the community to share with our visitors. Come to Danville and Pennsylvania County, and we'll be calling it something else as soon as we launch our brand.
She's teasing the heck out of us today. I want to know.
And we want Danville and Pennsylvania County to be the hub. That's the goal. We want to be able to package our assets, promote our assets. We understand who our visitors are now because we've done the data, right?
Yeah.
We've got our promoter scores. We know where we're going with all this stuff. So now we're marketing, right? We're bringing people in. We're providing incentives. We're showcasing our product. They're going to come in. We should never be afraid to say to them, hey, there is an amazing event going on at Martinsville or to South Boston to enjoy antiquing or things like that. The goal is we want them to come back.
Yeah.
Right. So they hub here, they spoke out, they come back. And that's kind of the model that we're going to be working with is sharing our visitors with our surrounding communities because we know we want them to do the same.
You seem a little excited about this. I don't know if you've noticed that. I worked with what was then the city's Department of Tourism 22 years ago as a volunteer. My wife was in that office for a while. Of course, we had just a sort of a change of philosophy, thinking, okay, let's go ahead and and focus it a little bit more on short stays. When you've got this Leviathan coming, though, that old way of thinking is simply not going to fly. And as much as anything else, Lisa, you're creating this division, but you're also creating, hopefully, a new mindset from people. Like Hampton mentioned, oh, you're from Richmond? What are you doing in Danville? We want that to become so few and far between that because nothing turns off a potential visitor like someone who lives in an area denigrating their own area.
Really?
It's rough.
That's right. And so I'll say this. Our community, Danville and Pittsylvania County, we are getting a lot of attention.
Right.
We are getting a lot of attention. I travel for the work that I do. We hold membership in a lot of professional organizations, Meeting Professionals International, Association Executives of North Carolina, the Virginia Society of Association Executives. All of these associations, I go where the clients are, right, to be able to talk about this. And I can't begin to tell you the people that are coming up to me, people in my industry all over the Commonwealth saying, we're watching you. We are watching this unfold in ways that we never thought would happen. And we want to help. We want to be a part of the excitement. How can we help you? And I give them lots of opportunities to help. So for us, we talk about what it's going to look like down the road, right? So, let's start by saying we need continued support from our city and county leadership. And if it continues the way that it is now, we're not going to have any problem. We've got some visionaries on both our council and our board of supervisors. They understand that this has to happen. We are going to start benchmarking our data in the next year or so, and we're going to be able to point back and say, look at what our net promoter score was with the research that we gathered. Look at where we are now. And we can do that without a shadow of a doubt. And we are, in the coming years, pending that we can keep this program on track, get the right people on the right seats on the tourism choo-choo. We're
the tourism choo-choo, I love that.
We're gonna see those net promoter scores go up, and the sense of community pride here is going to swell, because all of a sudden they're going to go, we're a pretty cool place, right? I don't think we really knew how cool we are. So hip, cool, call it what you will, but get ready for some sassiness coming down the pike with tourism, and just get on. What was the word that you used one day? Was it Renaissance?
Renaissance, yes.
Renaissance. I'm writing that down.
I like sassy better.
Yeah. And Lisa, I don't want to embarrass you, but no, you hit the
Here it comes.
you hit the road. You hit the road running here. I tell people I want you to meet this Lisa. Oh, I already know Lisa. We're best friends. So you've cut a wide path already.
Well,
and I thank you for that.
Well, Hampton, I'll tell you what. It would have been a lot more difficult if there had not been support for the need for this program. And I'll share with you, just yesterday, I was enjoying my lunch with Thomas Perugini. Thomas has been freshly hired to build the curriculum for the new hospitality and tourism program with Averett. And Ann Moore Sparks, who's a very high-profile member of our community, leading our chamber. And our conversation was, how can we partner? What is it that we need to do to cross the streams here to help you with what you're doing? How can we help the chamber members? I reminded Ann, I said, so many of your members are our tourism stakeholders. Our restaurants, our lodging community, all of this. So coming into this community and understanding that people want to partner, and we're just looking for ways. Yeah. And I'm all about it. I'm like, let's make it happen. So there'll be a lot more communication. There'll be regular meetings, and I'm all about a good meet and greet too. But when we walked away from that meeting yesterday, we both agreed this is the start of something, and let's get busy, right?
Absolutely.
Folks, if you're not excited about tourism after listening to this, check your pulse. I'm just saying. Lisa, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. It's always a pleasure spending time with you.
Your enthusiasm is infectious, and the changes that have already happened in just a little more than a year at this brand new created office hint at some great things to come. And I'm excited as a citizen of this city that I was born and raised in to be able to help tourism efforts out in any way I possibly can. Hopefully, I've never been asked that question by somebody, what's there good to do here? But if they ask me, I know what to tell them.
Oh, and if you didn't, I'm going to tell you. But anyway, so just stay tuned. That stays tuned. Chuck, thank you for this opportunity. Hampton, Always a pleasure, my friend.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
And the best is yet to come, folks.
Best is on its way. As Lisa likes to say, company's coming, get ready.
Company's coming, and so much to see, so much to do. We're not boring. The tourism brand is on its way, guys. Just get ready. You're going to love it. You're going to embrace it. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be woven into the fabric of our community for years and years to come, and you're going to be a part of that. So thanks so much.
Folks, that's all about Danville. Until next time.
Bye.